Howdy doody, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Our Life, Not Our House. I just remembered that I could not remember the name of it until I looked up the file name for this game. It's Our Life, Not Our House. Our House is the name of a show, which, actually, Our House is a show that I actually acted in. It was like years ago now at this point. It was been 2018? I think it was 2018? Yeah, it was 2018. That it was like my third show that I acted in. Third or fourth? Yeah, it was my fourth. It was my fourth show technically, because I did 3 shows in a row before that. 2 of them were in Connecticut, and one of them was back in Massachusetts, where I live in. And that one was just a stage reading of a new play that a local artist did. That was fun. That one was also fun, too. And the first show that I did in that year was Shakespeare. And it was Much Ado About Nothing, which was like a cowboy-themed sort of a show. And the second show, I didn't really have a part, but I played the piano for that show because it was taking place in the comedy club, and I was the guy that was playing the music, sort of serving the intermission between the two. And the third one was Our House. I played a TV executive, producer, I think, one of the guys that was in charge of it. It's been a while since I did that show. And then we did a live radio show. I did a bunch of shows that year, like more than I've normally more than I've ever thought I'd be doing. Like, I did 5 shows that year. And a movie project assignment for a college student. That was my first time being involved in the movie thing. And that was fun. It was a learning experience, and frankly, I have a lot to learn about. I learned a lot about that and the whole procedure. But yeah, that was a thing. So, moral is, the game's not called Our House. And if it was called Our House, it would be a lot more violent and a lot more darker and a little bit bleaker, but also a little bit hilarious. So, yeah. This game's called Our Life, and I'm playing it. So where we left off, we had a long day and we had fireflies. Like the beginning of this intro, we had a long intro. So I ultimately decided that I am going to play one more moment, in this before the summer ends. And I don't know which one I want to choose, though. Shopping, grown-up, sandcastle. Grown-up sounds interesting. I don't know what that entails. Shopping, there's always something interesting going on in shopping. But sandcastle, that could be interesting. You know what? I'm going to go with sandcastle. Yeah. So here we go, folks. Into the ocean, into the blue, drowning, perpetually drowning. Yes, Cove wasn't able to do many things that summer. When him, and Shiloh sat out on the shoreline one bright morning, you could tell he wanted to be in the water. But there was no way he'd be swimming in any time soon, not with his cast. The waves washed a single shell to shore, glittering and blue, another reminder of the places he couldn't go. Oh, apologies. I should also mention that I spent most of the day working, and I didn't have any fluids, and I also did not have any food for a good 8 hours. I'm recording this the day after the last episode, and I know this is going to be a week from the last episode by the time this one comes out, but I'm actually recording this the day after. We had a big family dinner, and we had a bunch of, food that we cooked up, and I basically had leftovers when I got back home today, so I'm still a little stuffy. I gotta take a shower when I'm done, but I'll get there when I get there. As soon as I'm done with this and editing, I'll take that shower and relax. Maybe. But enough about me, let's talk about our life. From what you heard about Cove's old life so far, what a transition. In tiny pieces and fragments, you could tell that he'd do anything to be able to get the cast off. Like, make a pact with the witch, or the devil, or something, just to get it off his arm. even cutting off his arm. Though, that would be counterproductive if you ask me. If you thought about how his summer last year must have been totally different from this, with his old home and his mom and his dad, but now he was here, with you and Shiloh and Lizzie, and everyone else, and he couldn't even go in the sea. This town wasn't bad, it had all your favorite things in it, but sitting there, on the same beach you'd grown up on, you could understand that not everybody else felt the same way about Sunset Bird as you did. You watched him from the corner of your eye quietly, and he finally said aloud what you had been pondering.
I wish I could go in.
The water?
No, the sand! Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're gonna be able to do it soon. Cove only sighed in response. Apparently, soon wasn't soon enough. Until soon happened. It's so pretty, the ocean.
And huge.
Wait a minute. The sequence... Also, look at the rays, just like how they're just kind of bouncing all over the place. I just want to say the last episode, we were literally on the beach. Late at night, mind you. But you were still on the beach playing with the water and all that. So... Also, what is the time of day? Like I know I did it out of order and I didn't do it in sequential order. But you'd think it would kind of tie up in some way, like somehow make it sequential or something like that, or I don't know. It's not a critique, it's just, it's a weird thing that they incorporate in this. Back to my voice.
And huge! There could be anything out there, like mermaids.
Yeah! I wish he didn't have a guess, I don't really care! Swimming might be fun if we could, I'm fine here on land, mermaids aren't real. Swimming might be fun if we could. Swimming might be fun if we could. But it's not like there's anything we can do about it. Obviously not interested in hearing much more of your input on the situation, Cove turned back to the water. But as he looked away, something about Shiloh's slow, careful movements caught his eye.
Hey, are you building a sandcastle?
Sort of. I was only playing around while you were talking. I'm listening.
Maybe I could too. I've only made big piles before.
It's nothing really special. I'm sure you'll be good at it right away.
Well then, how do you do it then?
That was weird. Shiloh's cheeks lit up. You could tell he was a little bit uncomfortable to have Cove's expectant stare on him. I'll play too! There's nothing else to do. I love making sand stuff.
Okay.
He puts his hand back to his seashells and sand and nodded.
I don't do a lot. Here's how I like to get his house started.
Shiloh, focusing more intent than you've ever seen him, guided Cove through his process. You happily used your own method. It didn't take long for the three of you to each have humble structures prepared. Whoa, you're a little close there, Shiloh.
That's all, kind of. You can do anything now, like make it bigger, add some seashells, carve a pretty pattern. I bet you'll have great ideas.
I'm gonna make it bigger. Mine is gonna be a real castle.
Cool. This is gonna be a house.
Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decided to make a house, a castle, a mansion. I'm gonna make a castle. Yeah, I'm gonna make a castle. Looking at the base of your sandcastle, you decide to build a fancier sandcastle. The better part of your next hour was spent focusing on your own work. The boys were the same. Even Shiloh didn't sneak as many peeks as everyone else as he usually did. Oh look, there's one right now! It's fancy schmancy pantsy! How did we make the whole so perfect and perfect arch, and it's so perfectly stacked on top of each other? You finished sheeping before either of them did, glancing up from what you built. It seems you got done so fast because they already searched around for extra decorations. Shiloh had grabbed most of the really interesting stuff, and Cove had a lot of shells, but there were still options. The first thing you reached was for a red bottle cap, blue shell, green piece of sea glass. I like the idea of the green piece of sea glass, but I'm going to go a little simpler. It was the best fit for your castle, you decided. And it seemed like the lid from the sports drink bottle that Lizzie was trying to convince your moms to let her try. So you put it in a funny place where it'd take a second to see it. Pleased with your result, you finally took a proper look around that wasn't focused on the sand itself. Both Cove and Shiloh seemed super immersed still. You knew you could probably sneak a peek at either one's work. Let's check out Shiloh's sandcastle. Shiloh was definitely the best one out of all three of you at building sandcastles. His was also the smallest, but there were so many glittering debris and carved sand shapes all over the entire building that his efforts was obvious. Shiloh's little house even had a tiny garden by the front door and another one in back, all made out of petals and other bits and bobs. The silence was then broken.
Oh, what's on top of yours, Shiloh?
You peeked closer and discovered something shiny sticking out of Shiloh's sand chimney.
Oh, it's just a gum wrapper. It looks like smoke.
It's good. That's smart.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. I guess I don't see it. You should be an architect. Kinda looks more like a worm. You should be an architect. You'll be good at it, Shiloh. Shiloh smiled without a word, and that was that for the current topic.
Homery.
Homery, can I...
God damn it.
Homery, can I see what you did?
Sure. He scooted just a bit nearer and began surveying your work. The castle you built was pretty impressive, all things considered. It had archways, tall walls, and even a little moat circling it. You would probably feel safe living there. Maybe your moms were the queens. Shiloh quickly decided to jump in on the conversation.
Hey, Homery, what did you do?
This is my castle. Shiloh didn't look so happy anymore.
You both built castles?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Huh, that's neat. How you guys met? It's too bad we didn't all do it. Next time we should.
Wouldn't that be boring?
If something...
If something is the only one thing of that thing, that makes it special.
Yeah, for sandcastles and stuff.
People too. My dad always says how everybody is their own man, a real individual.
I don't think I'm very special.
Why not? Nobody else is you.
Shiloh simply shook his head.
I'm not different.
A beat passed between the two. You're different. Cove then looked down at his own work again.
Okay.
He didn't seem to be bothered leaving the disagreement hanging there. Cove had other things on his mind.
My dad tried to get me to make sandcastles the first time we came to this beach. I didn't want to.
Cove trailed off. Again, there was another moment of silence. Shiloh shifted and opened his mouth to say something, but Cove spoke up before he could. You didn't think he noticed that Shiloh was going to talk.
Hey, you know what happened to your mom when your mom met my dad, Homery?
You waited to see if Shiloh would say what he wanted to. When he didn't, you considered Cove's question. I wasn't there. They didn't tell me. I just remember what happened when I met your dad. Mr. Holden had been a weird stranger then. Well, he was still kind of strange. No other parent acted like him, but you knew him better at this point. Now that you thought about it, it made a lot of sense that Cove's dad talked to him about people being unique. You were pulled from your thoughts when Cove continued.
Oh, well, I was there.
I don't think my mom has met your dad.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he hasn't. Homery's parents and my dad met the same day I met them. I'm gonna say what happened.
Shiloh frowned to himself, ducking his head. His hat cast shadow over his face. You could still tell he was upset at not being included in Cove's choice of topic. That was kind of boring for him, though giving people their own turn to say the things that they want is important too. I think Shiloh wants to talk too. I think Shiloh wants... I guess you...
Huh? We were talking, just not right now. I'm talking to you. You can listen.
Shiloh's expression barely flickered at the words. He still looked put off. Cove continued like the interruption hadn't happened. He was determined to tell the tale.
When we moved here, we didn't bring a lot of things with us. Only some stuff that would fit in Dad's car. We didn't even get a moving truck. I sat in there while Dad brought it all inside. I didn't want to get out because I knew Dad would make me look around the new house. I really didn't want to do that.
His lips twisted into a frown as he recalled that.
Then I saw your moms. They were in a car too and stopped at your house. I guess they were coming back from somewhere or something. My dad noticed. He waved his hand, then went over to the front of your house where he started talking to them. I don't know what they said. I couldn't hear. But he couldn't see me anymore because he was looking the other way. So I opened the car door and left. I wanted to get away and went behind the houses. I found those hills there, the ones where we met for the first time.
Yeah. Way to recap the whole thing. In case anyone didn't watch the first episode. Cove nodded, then stared at you. You stared back. You didn't go on to say anything more. Aren't you gonna finish your story? Cove's brow winkled, like he didn't understand why you were surprised.
That's all that happened.
Okay, why do you want to tell the story if nothing happened? You really gotta get a bit better at telling stories. That was a pretty bad story. Well, thanks for telling me.
You're welcome.
Even if not much happened, you weren't going to complain about knowing the story. Shiloh's mouth twisted into a scowl of disbelief, but he said nothing. Well, why'd you bring that up anyway? There was a slight shrug of Cove's shoulders.
I was thinking about it because the sand canister, it made me remember when I moved here. Dad showed me the beach first before he went back to the car to unpack. He was really excited about it for some reason.
Cove's brows furrowed a little more as he quietly raked his hands through the sand. I get it. You thought maybe Mr. Holden wasn't that excited about the beach, and was instead hoping Cove might be. But the line of conversation had come to its end. Even Cove was done with it. Some other topic had popped into his head. Shiloh fidgeting uncomfortably in the sand had made Cove aware of his presence again. They looked at each other, and you could only wonder what this might be about.
Hey, Shiloh.
Yeah?
Why are you always turning so red, even when nothing is happening?
Clearly startled, he jerked back. Neither you or Shiloh had expected that to be how he got included in the conversation again.
I don't know, I guess.
Okay, it's kind of weird.
Shiloh's eyes were wide with embarrassment and his lips twitched, and he was blushing even harder than before. Maybe it wasn't only this. Perhaps it was simply the last straw, but it was a big deal to Shiloh. A huge deal. He didn't just look sad, he seemed almost panicked. You weren't sure if he was about to cry or run away or what, but you soon got an answer.
Why do you wear glasses? Most kids don't wear glasses, and nobody is named Cove. Who asked you to come? It was probably your dad who bugging Homer's family some more because you don't have anyone else who will ever play with you.
Wow. Dark.
Cove blinked. The tension on the beach was suddenly uncomfortable in a way you didn't know how to laugh off. That was probably not the laugh, huh? Well done. It didn't seem like the kind of thing he'd get upset about, though you hadn't ever known what kind of thing would bother Shiloh.
I'm sorry.
Me too. I was just wondering.
Hey, you try to play on your own. We're gonna build more. You usually mess around with the sand. Hey, let's build another sandcastle. The day's gonna be over soon.
Homer, you're right. The sun is going down so fast.
You all went back to making more sand buildings, but the whole mood had changed. Shiloh's cheeriness was clearly gone, and Cove looked as confused as ever about why the other boy had blown up. The air had stayed uncomfortable the rest of the afternoon, right up to the moment that Shiloh's mom appeared at the beach to take him home. At least she tried to do something to resolve it, though, and it seemed like it helped. Even though Shiloh's smile when he said goodbye to Cove wavered, it stayed as bright as ever for you. That had to count for something. But with Shiloh gone and the sun going down, you knew it was time for you and Cove to head to your own houses. The two of you trailed out of the park together toward the neighborhood. The walk home was quiet. You passed by familiar landmarks, shoes slumping against the sidewalk in near perfect unison. Cove was clearly caught up in thinking about something. I'll ask him. Something was definitely up, so you chose to reach out and ask him. Hey, Cove, is everything okay? You're making a funny face.
Oh, I was just wondering.
Cove fell silent again for a few more seconds, then sighed.
Why'd Shiloh act like that? When I said he was all red, when I said he was all red a lot.
You were being rude. He's just being baby. I don't know. He gets embarrassed.
Embarrassed, but I didn't say anything that bad.
It might have upset him anyway.
I guess I can get it. Why he would do that? Sometimes I get really mad too.
Despite seemingly coming to a conclusion, Cove's mood was still sour. Hey,
Homer, was Shiloh telling the truth?
Huh? His gaze left yours as he dug the sole of his shoe into the ground. He looked oddly vulnerable for a second.
Does my dad make you hang out with me? I know he talks to your moms about that a lot.
An uncomfortable weight settled in your chest at that question. You liked spending time with Cove. He didn't even have to think hard about it. You knew you did. But you couldn't help feeling guilty. Cove still didn't know what happened when you met Mr. Holden. Nobody's making me spending time. Your dad does do stuff so you'll hang out with my family, but Shiloh shouldn't have said that. Decided to tell him about your dad. I'm not gonna do that. Nobody's making me spending time with you. Your dad does do that stuff so you'll hang out with my family, but Shiloh shouldn't have said that. I'm doing it because of my own free will. Cove's shoulders relaxed. You hadn't even noticed that he had tensed up.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Anyway, I didn't think you were pretending. I just wanted to make sure it was okay is all. Thanks for telling me.
Your throat. Yes, my throat tightened. It's right between the neck and the chest. That's where it is. My throat tightened. It was hard. What a good joke. It was hard to meet Cove's earnest gaze again. Keeping secrets was hard. You're welcome. By now, the two of you were on the sidewalk near your houses. it was time to part ways. You nudged. Yeah, I'm gonna nudge. I'm gonna nudge. You reached over and gave Cove a fond push forward. Bye. See you tomorrow. He laughed a little and playfully pushed your hand back. He didn't mind a bit of rowdiness at all.
Bye.
Then you jogged towards your house. Yay. When you looked back, you saw Cove make his way back home too. As if he felt your eyes on him, he turned around. He waved. You did too. You still felt a little unsure with what you were supposed to do about the deal Cove's dad had offered. You didn't want to say something bad, or something you shouldn't. You had no idea how Cove would take it either. It would be terrible if it made him feel bad. What if he didn't want to play with you anymore? You might change your mind sometime. There was always tomorrow after all, but for now, it was definitely something you had to keep to yourself. With a final look, you went inside your house. The end. So yeah, I think I'm making it seem like I'm going to stop the episode right here, when I clearly did not spend enough time on it yet. How much time did I actually spend? 21 minutes. That's kind of what it's reading on, well, not really. But, yeah, I'm going to continue to the ending of summer and see where it leads to. Move on to the next step. Are you sure? No, yes, no, yes, no, yes. Okay.
I'll never get tired of that view.
That sounded so sinister. You stood beside your moms, Lizzie and Cove, and Lizzie. Hold on, let me reread that. You stood beside your moms, Lizzie and Cove, as the five of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. Excuse me. You like to imagine it, cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow.
That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now.
Neither did I. Oh, sorry.
Neither did I.
Oh no, we are so dull. Let's go out, get out more.
He didn't do real magic, Mom.
How did you figure that one out?
'Cause I know. That's what real magic looks like.
Oh,
Dizzy dear, there are all kinds of magic in the world. You just have to believe in friendship, which we all know is witchcraft.
Lizzie gave Mommy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. You look over at Cove, who hadn't said a word since you started home. He didn't look upset, though, just content. You're aware he still hadn't quite warmed up to your parents.
Well, we can't stay out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner?
Lizzie immediately let out with a groan.
Mom, summer's almost over.
The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. Please, can we just play a little longer? We have to keep playing before it's too late. It is almost over. You put on your best puppy dog eyes. Lizzie may not want to, but it's time going home. We have to keep playing before it's too late. Mom raised a brow, with the corner of her mouth lifting before she pursed her lips.
You make it sound like it's the end of the world.
It is the end of the world!
It practically is!
You nodded vigorously, thankful that you had your sister on your side. Surely your joint effort would wear your mom down.
So I have homework and reading to do. We can't do work now, too.
Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot onto the ground. You mimicked her, feeling that would add something to the argument.
Oh, come on, Pam. Your name is Pam? I can help you with dinner.
Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that you were very close to victory.
Okay. All right. But as soon as this is ready, you lot are coming inside, understand?
Yes, Mom.
Yes, Mom.
Come, Cove, dear. You're welcome to join us as well.
You grinned at Cove and nudged his arm with your elbow. Cove gave a non-committal shrug to your mommy, which you took as an agreement.
Yay!
So much to
do and so little time. Maybe I could still get the seashell bracelet at Tines and Trinkets. Oh, maybe the playground, or the fireflies would be coming out, right?
Don't I get a say in this? So make your own plans, we can't go too far. Don't I get a say in this? Lizzie looked over to you, narrowing her eyes like she was very seriously contemplating the answer to that question. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself.
Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet?
That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction your mothers have gone. Where are you going?
I'm going to my room. I have lots to plan if I want to make most of tomorrow.
You thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait. Before long, she was disappearing off down the road. Meanwhile, Cove was going in the opposite direction, heading for the beach. I'm gonna stay with Cove. Cove gave you a smile that you couldn't help but return.
Cool.
He made a cool little gesture that you interpreted as follow me, and then started heading to the waves. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back, then tossed it out into the water. You were impressed over how he got far to go. It sailed way out into the sea. It was a good toss. That was pretty neat. It wasn't a long throw, but he didn't care to try. The rock kind of sunk like a rock and fell back down almost right after he tossed it. That was pretty neat. You can't skip rock in the ocean. I'll look for my own rock. Deciding to join Cove, you searched nearby for any rocks or shells that you could throw too. You found a shell that would suit your purposes, a smile growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed with a wet-sounding thunk a few feet away and slipped down into the water. When you looked over at Cove, he didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching wildly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His brow was furrowed, and there was a frown on his face.
It's not fair. I had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim.
Oh, how'd you get it?
I was jet skiing.
My eyes widened. I think really. Cove narrowed his eyes a little.
Yeah, why would I lie?
I didn't mean it like that. He then continued to explain.
I crash.
The jet or the ski? He gestured to his arm as if to say,
and this was the result.
He didn't say that, but that's how I think he would say that. It's hard to believe you're allowed to jet ski.
Well, I'm not.
Oh. Huh. Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand.
I can't believe summer's almost over.
You sat down next to him and nodded in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change.
I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I think I'll be the same as you and Lizzie. My dad said something about that.
Cool. You're going to like it. Everyone's super nice, except Lizzie. And maybe, that kid over there, whose name is Shiloh. Yeah, that kid. What an asshole, right? You'd only ever been to the one school, but you were sure that this old school couldn't have been that much better. Then again, he did have to make new friends and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head and wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, you realized that his eyes were wet.
I want to go home.
So we're going deep again, huh? You probably never had to move before, but you thought you could understand. If you had to go to a new school all of a sudden with all new people, you'd probably be dreading it too. Even though you sort of maybe understood, you still weren't sure how to help. Okay, I'll see you later? Cove gave his head a small shake.
No, I want to go back home.
Right. Cove wanted to go back to his old home. How did I miss that? The one that sat waiting someplace far from here. The one he would bring up whenever he felt sad? Felt this sad. Okay. I was reading it wrong. It had been a while since he'd moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. He sat back down into the sand, trying to consider what to do. It'll be alright. Do you hate it here? Cove's brow furrowed even more. Then he shook his head. He felt a rush of relief fill you. You liked having Cove here. It would be sad if he'd been miserable the whole time.
You're not gonna leave, right? You'll still be around?
The question was a little surprising. Of course. Well, of course. Your parents would have mentioned if you were going to move or something, right? After a second, Cove gave a little nod.
Once I go get my cast off, we could go swimming.
You were fine with him changing the subject again. Yeah, that would be fun. Cove smiled and looked back to the waves.
My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually, that I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything.
You spared a glance over at Cove and see the anger that had slipped off his face in favor of something almost puzzled.
But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can't see it.
You could remember a long time ago when you'd first started going to school. You had absolutely not been okay with the idea of being away from your parents for most of the day, to listen to strangers tell you what to do, and sit with kids you've never met before. Things changing is hard. You held his hand. I'll make sure you do. I can. Coco gave you a dubious look and then a very slow nod. His eyes went a little misty once more. You got the feeling that they were different tears than the ones from before, though.
I hope next summer I'll surf and go exploring, and everything will feel like it's supposed to again.
You will. It will. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the waves. You hoped that Cove would be able to accept this place as his new home. You definitely tried to help, what ways you could. There were so many wonderful things here Cove probably hadn't even seen yet. Probably means you could have to go back and play all those things to experience them all. Lost in thought, you started a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sounds of your moms shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Time had really gone by fast. You stood and dusted the sand off yourself. My mom's calling. It's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked up to you, expression screaming reluctance. Yet, ultimately,
Okay,
when you smiled, Cove returned with one of his own.
Homery, thanks.
It was nice. Where you were right then. Where were you right then? It was nice where you were right then. But the two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So the both of you ran off towards your house, leaving the waves and summer behind. The end. And they all died. In the end, it doesn't even matter! So how'd I do? In between... What is it? Is that the next chapter? I think that's the next chapter. Yes. Alright. So, is there anything I need to change? I don't think so. I think everything is pretty much the same. I think. I don't need a scar. I don't need rosy cheeks. I don't need that rosy cheeks. See, I got a scar on my chest. I want to save the scars on my arm, because I know I get scars on my arm from working as a plumber. Let's see, shirts, pants, no freckles or anything. Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's pretty much the same thing, so. Change page, and we're done! Yay. My feelings for Cove, relaxed, good, let's see. Kind of a crush. A little bit of a crush. Not gonna lie. A little bit of a crush. Do I really need... Hold on. You can't lower affection after it has risen. A little bit of a crush. Not gonna lie. A little bit of a crush. A little bit of a crush. Maybe fond. Might be a little bit of a crush. So take the tutorial. I'll just leave it at crush. You won't be able to change it again until step 3. Cool. Choose to customize Cove yourself or let his prior experiences determine it. Let's both. Let's do both. Whoa! You got jacked, dude! What the hell? Okay. Let's see. Co-creator, PJs, jacket. That's a nice jacket. You got jacked! Holy shit! Let's change. I'm not crazy about the shirt. It's alright shirt. Is that the same shirt his dad wears? I feel like that would be something similar that he would wear. Pants. You know, I like the green belt. Left wrist. Okay. You know what? I want him to wear the glasses. I like him with the glasses. Hair's fine. Not really much of options for hair. I like that hair. That hair looks good. And should they be wearing a necklace? He looks weird without a necklace, so I'll say that. Okay. Left wrist. Okay. Right wrist. Right wrist. How about nothing on the left wrist? Yeah, I think that'll work. Alright, what else we got? PJs! I like that shirt. I feel like it's something I would wear. I like the pink purple. And done. Alright, warm, personality, affable, mixed. We'll say, why am I doing this? Hold on. Can I go back? I don't think I can go back now. Let's see, affable. Yeah, you know what? I'll leave it as is. So, can I go back? Yeah, okay, I can go back. Sorry. I want to, wait, hold on. I want to kind of see if I can change it. Whether his prior experiences determine it. Customize. Personality. Neither. Let's see how this goes. Like, I know I spent a whole time, just a good 3 minutes to customizing it a little bit, but I honestly want to see where it goes. If he's more comfortable, then he's more comfortable, and we'll see how that goes. But regardless, August ended. September began. It was time to go back to school. Lizzie groaned and complained the entire first week. She hated going to classes. Still, there were interesting things to do that couldn't be done anywhere else. You weren't sure how Cove felt about it. He was enrolled that year. That was like a sign Cove would be staying in Sunset Bird for a while. At school, he was alright, but kept his distance from all the other kids. From what you saw, anyway. Whenever he could, Cove stuck to you like glue. He didn't even mind that much what you did to pass the time as long as it was together. That year, the divorce of Cove's parents was finalized. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Cove's dad got full custody. What the hell happened? At first, you worried that meant bad news. It had made Mr. Holden cry, apparently. Then you found out it meant Cove would keep living with his dad. He would only stay with his mom a few weeks of the year. Cove cried too, for different reasons, you thought. It seemed like Cove and his dad might move again, but Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Mom asked him about it once. He had said he didn't want to uproot Cove's life a second time. Mr. Holden tried to get Cove to like Sunset Bird more. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Sometimes, Mr. Holden volunteered you to spend time with Cove. He seemed very confident that it was an effective strategy. Cove never talked to anyone else about what happened with his parents and withdrew whenever it was brought up. It was hard for him, yet nobody knew how to help. Eventually, Cove stopped crying on his own. You couldn't understand what had changed. Still, you worried about him. You couldn't tell he wasn't completely happy. Maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt inside. After that, it felt like things had gone back to normal. Except, what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed, and suddenly you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore. You were 13 years old! That officially made you a teen! Even if your sister didn't agree. The toys and crayons that used to litter every free space in your room had been packed away somewhere, replaced by new hobbies. There were other changes too. Cove's cast got taken off. It was weird to see him without it initially. Underneath the pink plaster ended up being a long, thin scar that snaked across his forearm. Cove's chest puffed out in pride when someone drew attention to it. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in his class for 2 years in a row. Cove will probably hold that spot again next time. In class, people knew him for more than just being tall. He also stood out because of how well he did in gym and other athletic situations. Over the years, he began opening up more too. You saw him talking amicably with other kids or neighbors from time to time. And the only kid that came to visit the neighborhood when you were little, Shiloh, well, he was gone. He and his mom moved back south because of her work, just 1 year after Cove came to Sunset Bird. No, it had been really upsetting when he left. Lizzie was inconsolable for weeks, but nobody talked about Shiloh anymore. It was a long time ago. You learned some heartbreaking things became less sad the further away they were, even if they had never gotten any better. That was sad, in its own way. Things at home were different too. You still lived in the same house and all that, but it wasn't how it was before. Ma dyed her hair purple, wanting something new, and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. You remember calling her Mommy as a kid, but something like that seemed awkward nowadays. You were much too old for the word. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname too. She insisted on everyone calling her Elizabeth. So, you did. Your mom soon gave her permission to go places other than the playground and shopping street, which she took advantage of. You rarely saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more and more with girls from schools who were her own age. Maybe the difference between 13 and 15 was greater than the difference between 8 and 10. You started befriending new people yourself, like Derek Suarez! He didn't live in the neighborhood. That sounds like a new voice work I gotta work with. Or go to the same school. What happened was his and his Cove's dad struck up a business partnership a few months ago. Since then, Derek would pop up in the area now and then. It seemed Mr. Suarez was happy to let Derek tag along to his work, even if Derek was happy to let Derek tag along with his work if Derek had the time for it. Without a doubt, everyone and everything around you had changed, in small and big ways. You had too. As time went by, though, it was easy to settle into this new normal. Then, before you knew it, school was over, and summer vacation had come again. Yay! Look at all this stuff! It looks more like an actual high school, but then again, I have a computer now, and little dust fragments all around the air. It was the first day of summer vacation. I'm going to keep going a little bit, and I'll go for another few more minutes. Yeah, and then I'll stop. It was, what does HCWI023G mean? What does that mean? Does anyone know? I'd really like to know. Let me know in the comment section. That would be really interesting to know and find out. It might be like some assignment thing or something, like a class name, maybe. I don't know. But look, a jar! That's a nice jar. Think it's a jar? Might be a jar. I don't know. It was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was as hot as ever, but you were inside and away from its harsh rays. To be more specific, you were snuggled up in bed, celebrating your time off by sleeping in, wide awake, about to head out to enjoy your time off. I'll celebrate it by sleeping in. It was hot, but you still had the blanket up over your head to block out the sun. You didn't want it intruding on your lazy morning. Unfortunately, you hadn't prepared for an intrusion. From beneath the blanket, you heard the door creak open.
You're still sleeping? Wow. Get up.
Go away. Go away! Started to fake snore loudly. Yeah, I'll fake snore loudly. You didn't get out of bed, and instead made some obnoxiously loud and totally phony sleeping sounds. It was pretty annoying, but she had bothered you first. Not funny. Get up now. I will come over there and beat the shit out of so much for a lazy morning. Mom told me you had told me to tell you that your friend's at the door. You brought some happy summer gift from Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him, said thanks or whatever. So come down already. Okay, fine. Jeez. Okay, fine. Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what was instructed of her. You rolled out of bed, stretching your arms up and went high and yawning. Time to get ready. You set yourself in front of the mirror in the far corner of your room. Your reflection hardly even fit the frame. You're very tall. Your reflection went over the whole length of the mirror. You're pretty tall. Your average height. Your reflection went over the whole length of the mirror. Your reflection hardly even fit the frame. I'd say I'm pretty tall. I'll say I'm pretty tall, yeah. Cove tended to be the only person around who was even taller, at least among teens your own age. You liked your height, you weren't sure how you feel about it. I like my height. Although, to be fair, I'm 5'10". I'm more 6 feet, and I'm more 5'11" than 5'10", but I just, to be honest, I'd rather be just 6'10", or 6'10". Whoa, that's a bit too tall. I'd rather just leave it as 6 feet. I think that's the closest, because I'm etching over to be 6 feet. Tallest in my family. Tallest amongst my 2 oldest brothers, and my mom and my dad. So, that's interesting. It's always interesting to be the youngest and the tallest. And my oldest brother's the shortest, which is kind of hilarious, actually. It suited you well, in your own mind. Then you put the finishing touches on your outfit while ruminating on the situation. Careless as they had been, Elizabeth's words piqued your curiosity. You planned on going over to see what Cove was up to, so this worked in your favor. Your reflection grinned back at you. You were looking for Sword to seeing him. You left your room, taking an easy time down the stairs. And this is where I'm going to stop, folks. So, this is getting very interesting. Step 2, second chance. All right. All right. So, I'm going to stop right here, and we'll continue on the next part of our journey, and also finding out what Cove has in store for me with the gift, I guess. And I have developed feelings for him, I guess. Yay! Yay! I think it's customized now because of my actions from before and all that, and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So we'll get to see what's gonna happen in like the next few episodes or the next part of this journey. So thank you all once again. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. I played a whole bunch of other dating simulator games like Dream Daddy, Coffee Talk. I know I played more, but it's not coming into mind. I have to write up a list of all the stuff I've been playing. But I also played a few other games. I think by the time this episode comes out, I finished Little Nightmares. It's actually the last episode. I think. I think it is the case. I think that is, by the time this episode comes out, is the last episode of Little Nightmares, and I finished that. And I also played other games like Inside, Monopoly, and I'm planning to play other games aside from those, and more games in the future. Hopefully more games in a more frequent manner throughout the week. But regardless, All the games that I played are in a playlist and in their own respective playlists as well. I also have a Facebook page and a Twitter page at A Raw Battleship. Yes, quite literally, A Raw Battleship. And all this information you can find in the description below. Also, one more thing. I'm also going to throw in my voice acting channel. The Kid with the Golden Dub. That's my voice acting channel. I don't have a whole lot on there right now, but I'm planning to do more in the future. Sometime in the future. Yes, that's what I said. So yes, that will also be in the description below. So thank you, and I hope you guys have a wonderful summer vacation. Wait a minute. It's not even summer, it's springtime. Shoot.